Well, we got started off right with the NBA prediction, or with the NBA Rookie of the Year predictions.
Yep.
So, like I said, we about 10 games in now. We about 10 games in now. We did do this one a little late. Who was your Rookie of the Year before the season started? Like who was your? Let's be honest about it. Let's be honest about it.
Before the season started, I would have had to go Keegan Murray because I felt like I personally want to see Sacramento do well.
Okay.
I was not expecting again. So prior to Keegan Murray would have been my pick. 10 games in, they've kind of had him running this like pseudo 6-man type of thing. Like he hasn't started every game, which I did not expect at all. And so that was kind of disappointing. I thought he was kind of gonna be able to show up, especially if you're looking at his numbers. I mean, the man's hitting like 2 to 3 threes a game, you know what I mean, off the bench, which is crazy for him, for his shooting to have transferred that well. I mean, he looked great in the preseason, but I just didn't think once that NBA speed really caught up to him that he would be shooting that well. And so prior to the season, it was definitely going to be Keegan Murray. And honestly, I'm going to stick with him to kind of hold it out to the end as well. I think if that Sacramento team can get turned around and he really gets into that starting role and really puts an imprint on that team and maybe even takes them to the kind of the playoffs, and I kind of have a comp for why this may not go how I wanted to go, but I'm gonna let you the people about your pick for real quick.
Okay. I went Paolo, Duke fan, right? First pick, opportunities out there, starting easy, like arguably the star of the team already. And not to mention, I think people are going to be sleeping on this Magic team. Are they going to win the NBA championship? No. But like, can they be competitive? Yes. And they have been showing that thus far. They've been extremely competitive. Shout out to that team because they've also been dealing with injuries. And again, they're competitive. And
Right.
Paolo's at the helm of that team. So I thought at the beginning it's Paolo. And I'm glad you brought up Keegan Murray too, because in the summer league, they both battled one another that overtime game.
Mhm.
Where I think the Kings actually came back, and
Yep.
then the Kings eventually won that game. I thought I'm glad that you brought that up because they just recently played, and when I
Right.
saw the two battle, right, I'm like, all right, now this is not a big game really. It's a regular season game between the Magic and the Kings. Again, neither team are contenders, but when I'm thinking Rookie of the Year race, I do remember moments like the Summer League, moments like, okay, these head-to-head battles. These are big time moments. Like it's a Rookie of the Year award, so it's a yearly award. It's a year award. Like you got to take the whole body award, but I'm gonna remember moments like this. All right, Keegan got the best of Paolo now 2 times. So it you can say it didn't count before, it counts now. So I did like your pick. Are you changing your pick at all from Keegan Murray now that we're 10 games in?
No, I'm so, and that's what I was saying. So I'm going to stick with Keegan to the end. Paolo has been the standout, but like I said, since Keegan hasn't been starting, it's
Now,
really disappointing for him.
now, I,
Right?
now, I gotta say now, out of 7 games that Keegan has played, he started 5 of them though. So like that's on par with what I thought he was gonna be doing. So
See,
like,
but I'm thinking he's coming in from the beginning and really kind of taking it by the horns. And I said this because what I wanted these two guys to be, and Paolo was kind of giving this already, and I needed it more for Murray in terms of him kind of starting and getting those like big time minutes as well, because I wanted another Bron Melo. And I feel like the way that Paolo is playing, he's definitely can give. I mean, he's the only guy I think who first night, right, 25, 5-5 or something like that. He was the stat. And then he just had another like 30 and 15 game. Again, I think Braun was the only other guy to do that as a rookie as well.
mm,
But I need him. I really thought Keegan, especially seeing his shooting ability. Again, I did not think he was going to be that good of a shooter. But I was thinking that if the Kings could make it to the playoffs,
mm,
not necessarily on his back, but him being a major contributor, we would see kind of like, all right, what is really more important, team success or individual player numbers?
I think I think Rookie of the Year, right? It's about the rookie, so it's got to be individual. I think team success definitely matters, and it factors in heavily. Again, those individual like those matchups between the Magic and the Kings, you're going to remember. Again, the Magic are a competitive team, so I can't just say, oh, the Kings had a much better squad, because they really don't. Also, De'Aaron Fox was not playing, so that also factors into Keegan Murray starting a few more games. He might have been coming off the bench initially, because you still got Harrison Barnes in there, who's an effective a small forward, power forward combo. And I think eventually that transitions. I also thought Herter was going to come off the bench, but he's been playing some good minutes.
And they got Malik Monk coming off the bench, which I thought it would be.
I actually wanted Monk to come off the bench. He's a sixth man for me. He's the type where if he gets hot, keep him in the game. But he's not going to be hot all the time. But I understand too, especially how he played last season for the Lakers. You might have thought, okay, he might need to be a starter, because like I do get that too.
Because going from a changing role, some guys can do it. You know what I mean? Going from a starter, going to a sixth man. Some guys can come off the bench in that six man role. I mean, virtually cold. You know what I mean? You warm up all day, then you got to sit kind of those first 6-7 minutes. And then once you come in, it's kind of like you've had to – it's also a good opportunity to kind of see what the pace of the game is, see where you can probably affect the game the most. But, like, for some guys, where you could probably help the game the most, you might not have that in your game.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
I'm curious, too, what made you, I guess, hesitant to believe that Keegan Murray wasn't going to transition his shooting? Because when I first saw Keegan Murray shooting, I was like, I read the comparison, and he's like a Kawhi Leonard. I'm like, bro, that's a lot. But I see the physical tools. You know, he's 6'8", he's lanky, he's mobile, and then his shooting mechanics. I'm like, okay, it seems a little slow, but it looks good though. It looks consistent. So like, I was comfortable with the shooting. I didn't know how effective it was going to be year one. But like as an NBA player, I felt like he was going to be a good shooter, though.
The biggest thing for me was going to be who he was going to be matched up against. He plays a very, you know what I mean, physical role, and that really does wane on shooters throughout games. It's kind of, can you keep that same shooting form after you just finished guarding a LeBron, after you finished guarding a Jason Tatum? You know what I mean? Can you actually go to the other end and still hit that shot? It's a lot more difficult than people think.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair too. Like early in the game, my shot, you know what I'm saying, I got the form right. Hey, on the end, I'm
right.
That elbow stuck out a little bit. My bad, coach. Don't take me out of the game. I'm good. I'm good. I got to say, this could be a Braun and Kawhi like situation though. So it'll be interesting. I want to give a shout out. I know you said Bennedict Mathurin. He's on your team. That's your guy. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Jaden Sharp. Let's go, baby. Talk to me, Jaden. He is balling. What?
He looks really good out there in Portland. Jeremy Grant is disappointing me a little bit. I feel like he's playing very passive.
I mean, but he got one. It's not his team. You know, it's his first.
I know.
Early, he's trying to get.
And I mentioned him being that wing component when we talked about, you know what I mean, guys who are going to be inserted into new teams and stuff. But I feel like he is. I guess my thing is, I don't even really see him impacting the floor defensively that much either. I feel like he's kind of just, you know what I mean? Like, not that he's going through the motions, but like you said, Jaden Sharp looks amazing. The man's jumping out of the gym.
I mean, but that's his game, though.
Yeah.
Like, Jaden is a huge athlete, so like he's able to impact the game like that. But Jeremy Grant, I mean, Jeremy straight. Jeremy give him like 18. I hear he can give me more rebounds, maybe more blocks. But Anthony kind of doing what he do. You know, Simon. I mean, like Lillard.
I mean, also with 10 games in, I did not think Lillard was going to be averaging 40 in his first couple games either. So that's
not 40, but I mean, like you said, Dame hasn't played for quite some time, so he was real rested. So he wanted to come out and make a big statement. So averaging 30, I can see 25 to 30. All right, cool. Like, that's not bad. So I mean, he's doing what I expected. It just seemed like he was really dominant with what he was doing, and he seems like kind of rusty too in what he was doing. Like, he's still only giving me like 4.6 assists. Like that. And
I mean, that's what happens when you don't play with a group of guys for a while, right? You only can get those reps in training camp. You don't play summer league. You know what I mean? It's the preseason games, your minutes again are still limited to an extent. They don't want you to get hurt out there, and it's just preseason. So you really don't get that chance to kind of get in the flow. So I definitely see Dame ramping up that assist number, but I also kind of see him being, again, just because I don't know. I guess I expected more offensively from Jeremy. So if Dame is gonna have less assists because he's scoring more, I mean, I feel like it's an even handoff.
Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got some quick takes for y'all. So we're just gonna run down a couple of quick combos, and then we're gonna close it off on.
And I'll say this too before we go. Where do you think Chet is gonna play? He's not playing this year, right? No. So where do you see him in next year's Rookie of the Year conversation? Because he'll still be playing for a Thunder team that kind of still is looking for an identity. I mean, I don't know if Shai would still be on the team. I'd keep him. I mean, he's averaging like 25.
It would be between Chet, Victor, and Scoot right now for me.
Right.
Just because Chet is in the NBA like atmosphere, so he gets that advantage, kind of how Ben Simmons did.
Right.
And then with Scoot, like Donovan Mitchell, like was able to attack the basket. I'm expecting that type of gravity that Scoot will be able to bring. Plus, he's also a playmaker and more of a defender. He's more like willing to defend. So I'm expecting that to factor in. And then you just got Victor, who just got the size and whatnot. And then people already loving this game. So it's going to be a 3-man race. I think maybe you have Chet versus Victor because that's what like they're trying to hype up. Oh,
as long as they don't end up on the same team.
I mean, even still,
right.
Like they probably be 1 and 2. Maybe somebody drops and that allows Scoot to scoot up. But it's that 3-man race for me personally. How about you?
Gotcha. I definitely say I've just thought I think it's always interesting when guys kind of are injured their first year, so they're still technically in that Rookie of the Year race the next year. And like you said, I mean, Victor has the advantage though. Although he's not in an NBA atmosphere, he's in the tougher league. And so in the things that he's doing over there, I mean, the fact that they have, for one thing, the fact that they're streaming all of his games on NBA.com for the world to see already is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Man's about to be special.
Yeah, I would probably have to give Vic the nod. I mean, I really do think it's his to lose because of how much of a unicorn he is. Like, I think physically, he's more physically imposing than Chet.
Yeah.
His body could probably keep up. I mean, no offense to Chet, but everybody made jokes about Bron, Embiid, Giannis bumping into Chet and breaking them, and Bron bumped into Chet and broke. So I mean, it kind of happened like everybody said it was gonna happen. Now, everybody was definitely trolling when they were saying it, but it's kind of like it's real life. As you're going from playing with college kids to playing with grown men, it's different.
But see, he gets to strengthen up his body for an entire season. Like
for sure.
That's something he never really got to do, and I think that's actually going to be beneficial for him going forward.
I agree.
Because like
I think he can have as long as he isn't injured as much, I think he can have a Joel Embiid. I know you gave the Ben Simmons comp, but I think Joel Embiid is probably a better one with him being a big and him still missing that year. Because I mean, when Joe came over, he wasn't. I mean, I would argue he was not as skilled as Chet is. You know what I mean? But he kind of was able to like get his body right first, and then kind of really develop those miscellaneous skills that kind of set you apart. Yeah. But it'll be interesting, kind of how the next couple of years go for the league. Especially, we're getting positionless, but the more unicorns that pop up, it's kind of like you're gonna have to have Clint Capella's, Hassan Whitesides. You know what I mean? Steven Adams. You're gonna have to have
a lot of people. Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're gonna have to have those bruiser type of bigs to stand in front of these unicorns. I mean,
well, I don't even think you need bruisers. You need just length and length in general. Again, like a Bol, Mo Bamba, like those big. Like I was telling you, the market for bigs is about to be like the market for wings now. Yeah. So, like honestly, if I'm a team, I'm not really stockpiling on wings as much. Like they're cool to have. Don't get me wrong. If you have some good ones, cool. But bigs is really what's going to separate you in the long run. Because once Victor turns like 3-4 years into the league, it's about a problem. Because that's look at what Bron did. Look at what KD did. Like,
I mean, what Joel Embiid will be 30 by then.
Oh yeah, all the stars now will start aging up. Like Jason Tatum will be on the back end of his prime when Victor
Prime is
Wembanyama.
Prime is moving.
I hear you, but when we were told Prime is like 26 to 30, so like Jason Tatum's what 26 now, like he's gonna be
24, 25.
Okay, my fault. 24, 25, so he's gonna be 28, 29,
Yeah.
3-4 seasons from now.
Yeah.
I think there's 3-4 seasons in, like 21, 22.
Yeah. The league was gonna be in good hands.
You know what I mean? So that'll be interesting. And going forward too, because we're gonna transition on now to the quick takes, right?